Admiral Vexer had never known fear. Not in 3,000 years of Zephyrian conquest. But now his perfect crystal hands were trembling. He stood inside the wreckage of the once great war room of the Third Fleet's command cruiser. Sharp cracks ran through the glowing walls. Smoke curled up from a damaged console, making the air thick and bitter. Outside the broken viewport, a graveyard of Zephyrian ships floated in silence. Fragments of what had once been a perfect empire. They are not like the others, Vexer whispered. No one answered him. Most of his officers were gone, shattered, burned, or scattered into the vacuum of space during the last battle. Only a few remained, their glowing bodies dim and silent, staring blankly at the debris field. And out there, cutting through the stars like a blade, was a human ship. Not elegant, not beautiful, just brutal, deadly, and alive with fire. Back in human-controlled space, Captain Ji-Hoon Park sat at the edge of his chair, sweat dripping from his brow. The U.E.'s Hammerfall, a heavily armored dreadnought, had taken 3 direct hits, but it still moved with purpose. Status? He asked, voice steady but tight. Weapons at 70%. Armor holding on port side. Shields? Gone, said Sergeant Hay-1 from the tactical station. Ji-Hoon nodded once. Good enough. The humans had stopped playing defense. Now they were fighting to win. Across 5 star systems, the human fleets moved like wolves striking, vanishing and striking again. While the Zephyrians fought in perfect synchronized formations, the humans used confusion and speed. No plan ever went the way it was supposed to, but that was fine. They adapted. They learned and most of all they hit harder than anyone expected. Admiral Vexer watched the last footage from his scout ships. Look, he said weakly, pointing with a shaking hand. They ... They used debris as weapons. The display showed a small human ship dragging a massive piece of asteroid metal with a magnetic hook. As a Zephyrian vessel passed, the human ship released the rock at full speed, letting it crash into the enemy's shield. The impact didn't just crack the shield. It overloaded the energy system and made the Zephyrian destroyer explode from the inside. Barbaric, whispered Sub-Commander Lyser. No, Vexer said bitterly. Efficient. Every strategy the Zephyrians had, used for millennia, failed. Their shields were useless against railgun slugs. Their targeting systems couldn't track the fast, erratic human fighters. Even their massive flagships struggled to keep up with the wild and fast-moving missile swarms. Meanwhile, back on Earth's lunar base, High General Su-Min stood before the United Earth Council. She looked tired, her dark hair messy, her uniform torn at the sleeve. But her eyes held a fire. We didn't start this, she said calmly, but we'll finish it. The room was silent. Behind her, a screen displayed casualty numbers, hundreds of ships lost, thousands dead. But below those numbers were images of Zephyrian wrecks. More than they had expected. More than they had believed possible. We're not fighting for conquest, Su-Min continued. We're fighting because we don't kneel. And then she turned to the side, pointed at the largest image of all, the Zephyrian flagship, the Eternal. Radiance, half destroyed, drifting. I want that ship. Inside that ship, Admiral Vexer stared into the blue light of the bridge. He saw reflections of what his empire used to be. Perfection. Control. Power gone one by one. His ships were falling. The Third Fleet, once the most feared in the galaxy, was now running. Retreating. We are Zephyrians, screamed Commander Tixer, his crystal armor glowing bright with anger. We cannot surrender to animals. Vexer looked at him, tired. They are not animals, he said quietly. They are something else. Something the galaxy has never seen before. They do not fight for survival alone. They fight with memory. With rage, with unity, We study war like art, but for them, war is in their bones. On the U.E.'s Hammerfall, Captain Ji-hoon narrowed his eyes as the eternal radiance came into view. Even damaged, it was still enormous, still beautiful. But Ji-hoon didn't care about beauty. "Prepare torpedoes," he ordered. "Targeting enemy bridge," said Hae-won. "No," Ji-hoon said. "Target their engines. I want them alive." Inside the Zephyrian command cruiser, sirens began to howl. "Captain," a Zephyrian engineer shouted. "Multiple nuclear signatures inbound." The admiral stood quietly. "Do not fire back." "What?" "Do not fire," Vexor repeated. "I want to see what kind of people they are." Outside, 4 human torpedoes raced toward the flagship, glowing like falling stars. But instead of hitting the bridge, they struck the back engines. The explosions shattered the thrusters, sending the ship spinning slowly. The ship was dead in the water. But a live dot, and then a voice echoed through the wrecked bridge. "This is Captain Ji-hoon Park of the U.E.'s Hammerfall. Admiral Vexor, your fleet is broken. Your ships are finished. We don't want to destroy your species. We just want you gone." Vexor moved toward the screen. His body was cracked. His pride was broken, but still he stood tall. "You? Spare." "U.S.? No," Ji-hoon said. "We just don't kill when it's not needed. That's the difference." Vexor blinked all 4 of his eyes. Then ... "You are not like the others we've conquered." Ji-hoon nodded. "No, we're not like anyone you've ever met." The war didn't end that day. But it changed. The Zephyrians retreated ... and the humans didn't chase them. Instead, they repaired their ships, buried their dead, and began planning. Not for revenge, not for destruction, but for defense. Humanity had proven something that day, not just to the Zephyrians, but to the entire galaxy. They weren't the most advanced. They weren't the most powerful. But they were the most dangerous ... because they didn't fight for glory. They fought for each other. Weeks later, on a quiet hill overlooking Seoul Base, Captain Ji-hoon stood with General Soo-min, watching new ships launch into the sky. Massive carriers, ugly gunboats, fast interceptors, all human, all built from lessons learned. "You think they'll come back?" Ji-hoon asked. Soo-min nodded. "Yes, but next time, we'll be ready even sooner." Ji-hoon took a deep breath. "Why do you think they really attacked us?" Soo-min looked at the sky. "Because they forgot something. They forgot that war isn't just about technology. It's about will, about pain, about the kind of fire that doesn't die in silence." She turned and looked Ji-hoon in the eye. "And we've been carrying that fire for thousands of years." Far across the galaxy, in a hidden chamber of the Zephyrian High Command, the Supreme, elders sat in silence. Before them, Admiral Vexor stood, head bowed. "We warned you," one elder said. "Never awaken old fires." Vexor didn't defend himself. "They are different," he said simply. "They are not just another species. They are something we do not yet understand." "What would you call them?" Another elder asked. Vexor looked up. "Humans," he said. "The ones shaped by war. The ones who don't flinch." Out in the dark, quiet space beyond the stars, the wrecks of old battles drifted slowly. Among them, human satellites and probes floated, silent watchers of the void, and on one of them, scratched into the side by a hand in a pressure suit, were 7 words. "We're not the strongest, just the last." And that was enough.